It's after 5. So let's start with what you had on your mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was following up further with your nice answer about the virtual background in
Right.
Zoom. Um, I tried it also using the Chromebook to
Hmm.
see, and it wouldn't work there either. It doesn't even give you the option of the
Oh,
I
really?
have no green screen. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it interfaced quite differently on the Chromebook.
Huh.
Yeah, which surprised me. Um,
Yeah.
so the white screen thing I have behind me here,
Yeah.
yeah, that doesn't work.
No. Too many
Yeah,
changes in color. Yeah.
too many, yeah, fluctuations. So if I get a green, and now I looked at the one on Amazon, it's a wonderful suggestion. My last Amazon order was put in on March 30th and it came on April 30th.
Yeah.
So I would look to see if Walmart, which I've heard is being faster, because
Yeah.
Walmart isn't just Walmart, it's online, all things. But I don't know whether putting it on this,
You could
which
drape it over that. Sure.
it won't be flat though, Jim, because it's a threefold.
It won't have to. It'll hang flat.
It'll still
Okay.
hang flat over it
It should
because I
hang
can
flat
flatten
over
it
it.
more than.
And even then, um, it'll be shading that'll be different, not the radical difference of the little.
Okay. I just didn't know if I needed a stand too, and then I'm going
No.
like, yeah.
So
By the time it comes, the COVID will be over. Not really, but that would
no.
be nice.
Oh God. Oh, I wish.
Yeah.
No, no. Um, the one thing I'm noticing is that it won't be wide enough for you for looking at your screen behind you.
The green screen.
Yeah, if it was
No, I
just
can do.
well, you're not gonna, you won't. Yeah, maybe if you come in close, but you're almost certainly gonna have some leftover space. So you have to think about, yeah, that you might make that work.
Yeah. See, I didn't. We're
Yeah,
talking. I'm not telling. I didn't play with making it nice. It was
yeah.
just sitting here. So
No,
that's a
no, but I'm
little.
saying if the green, if you can't use your computer, in the absence of green screen, if you have to have a green screen, and there's a gap like there is in the upper corner there,
Mm-hmm.
um, it'll show. Now that could not be a terrible thing, right? You can decide how important that is for you. But
I
if you,
want.
yeah,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
I want to make some recordings of my storytelling.
Yeah,
I don't know what I might have mentioned, but you talked to a lot of people. I'm coming back to storytelling,
yeah,
having been not doing it very actively for a long time, but
yeah.
was very active and making my living with it at one point. Um, but I keep procrastinating about doing that, and it is harder when you're full-time somewhere else. My brain does not seem to shift to
Oh, that's
where is my
real.
story? I can't, I mean, I've got
Yeah,
a story, blah, 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 but where I can't switch the internal connection to the story after being in my box all day. Um,
absolutely.
I live in a very box oriented school, so
Sure.
um, I don't do it, but I'm hoping I now have, because I'm a teacher, I'm lucky I now can have Screencastify. Um, Screencastify?
No.
It's a screen recording tool.
Okay.
People, so if I'm teaching, I have myself down in the little corner of the
Yeah, yeah.
screen, there's a
Okay.
picture, and now I'm pointing out to the kids, or we're
Yeah, yeah.
watching the video. Yeah, but you can also do just you.
Sure.
And we just got, as teachers, they opened it up because of COVID. Temporarily, it has editing tools and so forth. So I thought,
Oh,
perfect time
sure.
to force me into getting some of my stories, you know, recorded
Yeah.
into the digital age here. Um, so that also is what, trying to get a decent background for that if I'm going to make them look
Yes.
more or less homey, put it that way. I can't
So-
say more professional, but
So if that's your goal,
one of them,
then
yeah.
I might suggest, you know, and again, money is always an issue, and I understand that. The frame that holds that green screen is cheaper than the green screen itself. Okay.
Okay, and I am a lucky person I'm being paid. I'm still
Sure.
teaching online. So, I mean, money is always an issue in most people's lives, but I'm not strapped in any
You're not-
way.
you're
I'm in
not-
my
you're
normal
not
amount of money.
desperate.
I could
Yeah.
buy it. So that,
Yeah.
you know, I don't have
So-
hundreds of extra dollars sitting around.
No, but it's like maybe $25, $30.
yeah, that's nothing for me
Right.
right now.
And I
Till
would say
retire.
the amount of pain it will save you from having to juggle that thing and figure out what
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
with the car. It's like, let me see. Hang on just a second here. I'll shut off my virtual background so I can show you what I got. Okay. So, hang on one second.
And I'm going to move my screen. It's blocking the fan. I need
Okay. So I'll show you one side of it. Here's my camera.
Okay.
So this is an odd way to try and hold a camera, but you can see it's just a.
And it's collapsible, right?
It absolutely
those clips are.
collapses. Yeah. And this bar across the top collapses into a quarter of its height, a quarter of its length. So it really boxes up. Oh, hold on. It boxes up into that.
Okay.
So it's very small. And my opinion is, you know, because I do recordings, but it takes, you know, I set it about halfway through the room, and I don't want to be stuck with this wall behind me all the time. So I can take it down. I can take the top bar off in about a minute, and I've got the whole room back up to me. Oh, here comes Heather. Hold on. So anyway, I would suggest that spend the $20-$30 and get the frame.
I didn't find the exact same green screen on Walmart, I think, when I was looking. I have to
Yeah.
go back.
Hey, Heather.
Hey, Jim.
Nice
Hi,
story today, by the way. Nice story.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I did. I'll resend the list of recommendations I made originally, because
Thank you.
I found that the frame is actually more. None of them are very expensive, and some of them are much less value than the others at the same price. So it took me a couple tries to find the one that I think really holds up well. So.
I appreciate the knowledge.
Sure, sure. So, welcome, Heather. We just Linda had some questions about. She wants to start making recordings of her stories, so she wanted some green screen talk. How's it going with you?
How can I make you louder? I can hardly hear you. My end.
Can you hear me, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the volume on your computer, Heather.
Okay, so
I wish I could tell you what happened today, because that.
I really that's one of those
Yeah.
performance nightmares. We teched it, and we even before we went live, we had it on YouTube live, and we
Yeah.
were talking amongst ourselves, and there was no problem.
Yeah.
just as we went on, and I knew that I would be the first one up, I hit the record button.
Ah,
And it was at the same, so we were recording on, I don't know. That was
Okay.
the only thing, you know, when you talk about, I appreciated your email the other day about considering variables.
yeah.
That was the only thing that happened. Now, why would that?
So that's actually a very good clue. So Linda, what happened was just as she started to perform, her audio went all warbly, and it was really, you know, we'd heard that happen once before.
Yeah.
When you came back the second time, were you recording then?
No.
Ah.
I turned the recording off. I have the new Logitech Brio, which I just got yesterday. So I'm
Oh wow, I'm
to.
still waiting for mine.
I got it on Amazon
Yeah, it's
in about 5 days. The
Oh,
one I
really?
ordered from Dell,
yeah.
I got a message, which is why I went on Amazon to get a used one. Said your order's delayed. You'll have it in July.
Yes, that's exactly my experience. Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
do that? My Amazon order, not for a mic, my Amazon order took 30 days.
But you bought
Wow.
a used one, Heather?
I got a used Brio, and
That's it.
and so I'm not knowing, and I think the it sits very precariously into its base. I
Oh,
expected
really?
some sort of a screw. Does yours have like?
Well, I have a different model, still a Logitech, but yeah, it has the screw for the a camera mount. Yeah.
Right. This just has a little hole and something like sits in there, but it does. I went online to see if there were any tutorials, because there was some guy saying this is the really best state-of-the-art webcam. It's got a good mic and good video, and you can adjust the focal range, and you can adjust the skin tone, which was the problem, because when we had the tech yesterday, everybody said, you look orange. Do I look orange right now?
You do.
I do look orange.
Yeah, I look a little pink, I think.
You look a little pink. White people have a hard time. It's like we're all three different color white people. Like
Yeah.
Linda, you look kind of blue white, and I I mean, so I'm just trying to learn this stuff. It's so frustrating. So I asked Google, and
Yeah.
and so it seemed like there was something I was missing, and so I went to the Logitech website and downloaded a capture.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Which gave me some tools
Yes.
to adjust, and I wondered if you, it said,
I have it. Yes.
okay. So do you turn off the auto white balance, or you leave the auto white balance on?
I think I leave it on, but let me look. I can just check.
The fellow who is giving the little webinar about it hates the white balance, so he turns his off, and he hates the autofocus. Those are the two things about this that he didn't like. And
So I've got both of them on. I know the autofocus creates problems sometimes. If I move forward or back quickly, sometimes it'll have time catching up with me.
right.
And that
What's
could be,
What's nice about this is, you know how on Zoom hands like make, this one doesn't really make
a trail. Yeah.
it really is actually pretty nice. And the guitar sounded better. I have, new little pieces of technology coming slowly but surely, because I too, Linda, want to start figuring out how to take my work online and see if it even works. I mean, besides the technology, there's the performative aspect of it, like, looking into the camera and not looking at your face. And for me, getting some sort of a sound, I have a Focusrite coming, which would be a USB interface that is like a preamp for the guitar that might make it sound a little nicer. And I have a little lapel mic that's coming too. I said, how could it be any good? It's only $21. It's called a Pop Voice. Have you ever heard of that?
I don't know that brand, but I have the same thing, and it's wired, right? It's not wireless.
No, it's wired, and it has a phone jack. So where does it? It goes in the little, like the headphone jack.
Yeah. That's You can't go wrong for $20. See what it does.
That's what I thought, and I would give that a try. It's
But let me
not
go back to the original thing because I think we have the answer. You hit record.
right.
And when you hit record, an extra burden is put on your computer's CPU. And that's what we were hearing is the computer that there's a technical term for it, thrashing.
Thrashing.
As it tries to go from one place to another, do one thing to another back and forth very quickly. And that's the sound it makes. So that's
That's what you heard as you.
that's the effect of that sound, of that thrashing. So when you want to do your performance, you really you got to rely on somebody else at the other end to record it for you.
Well, my sweet dear beloved brother, who's a technical writer and makes videos, he actually used Camtasia, and he clipped off my thing and sent me an MP4 of it, which I can't bear to even look at. You know how it is? It's
yeah.
I don't want to look at my.
That's exactly what I have 3 video editors, and that's the one I use, Camtasia. It's a very good.
I ended up buying the Wii
video. Yep.
Wii Video because that's what was your advice at the beginning.
Well, and they're both good, and Camtasia is a little better if you're doing more. Linda, like for example, if you're doing teaching and all, it has lots of features to say automatically detect where the cursor is and highlight it or magnify it. So it has all these teaching aids built into it.
Right.
Wii Video doesn't have it, but that's not why you're doing it, right? So it's a different.
Well, this might be interesting to you, Linda, if you're making things. This was very interesting to everybody on the call. Just before we went on the air, Donna Washington told us about her new project, which was, got my attention. She has been putting together programs that are like people can like mix and match them, and they are posted. They are on her YouTube channel, which she then shares by invitation and is selling to the libraries nationally for the summer reading program and charging like $450.
Wow.
And they're all pre-recorded.
They're pre-recorded, and the problem that like Sheila was responding, I don't want to do all the work of having to edit it. But the point is that if this becomes our work, then learning how to edit is like learning how to do a PDF out of a Word document. It's like you have to start to learn new skills. So yeah, that's why I'm here every week. So I have one other mini question relative to that.
Yeah.
I got a little message when I plugged the Logitech in. My computer popped up a little like a message to me, and it said this device can perform faster on a 3, and then I missed the next word, USB port.
Oh, USB 3. So there are different generations of USB. Most computers now are at generation 2. The newer and more powerful models usually have some 2 and 3 ports. Okay.
This is pretty. So some of my ports might be how would I know which is a 3 and which is a 3?
You would plug it in. There's no good way of knowing without the manual. You can't tell by looking at them. They have the same plugs, so you can't tell.
1, 2, 3. I have 4 USBs on it.
If your computer says this would do better on a USB 3, well, just start plugging it in and see when it stops complaining, and you'll know that's the 3, if you've got one. Well, how old is your computer?
This is an Inspiron 15. I got it a couple of years ago.
It could very well have a USB 3 then, but it normally will have 1 or 2, and the remainder will be USB 2 ports.
What does that mean?
Speed. It's how fast the data moves through it.
Right. Okay. Mine is old enough so that it has a CD player in it.
Well, so does mine, but I paid extra for that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, I'm in the point of getting a newer computer.
Yeah.
Because I'm running my business, and our bookkeeper for our family farm and natural resources consulting business had died. Everybody was upset because she wasn't doing anything that she was supposed to do from home.
Yeah.
And she was dead. Somebody went to go see, what happened to Marie.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
Wow.
And
Sorry.
yeah, so that happened not recently, a while back. So I had, do you see a fuzzy picture at
Yeah,
your
you
end?
just got a little fuzzy. You probably have autofocus on.
Oh, so that's why they want me to turn
Yep.
off autofocus. Okay. So I had to take over learning QuickBooks and all the things that
Wow.
she did for the government and for payroll and all that. So I figured, okay, if I put my mind to it, I can learn anything. I have a
Yeah.
PhD. I can learn anything. That's
Sure,
it.
sure.
So I'm going to learn I'm going to master how to edit this stuff and
Well,
how to put together things that will be
yeah.
useful to people.
It might be interesting. So some time ago now, I forget how long ago, so 4 or 5 years ago, there's a group out in Berkeley called Story Center. And they've been around for about 20 years, a little over 20 years. And
Story Center.
they have a mission, and their mission is they do digital storytelling. They're the ones who introduced me to WeVideo. And their mission is to work with populations who are disadvantaged. All right, they're poor, they're of color, something, they're international, and give them the tools to make short videos that that tell their story. And it's Story Center itself doesn't have a specific agenda except to give the people without a voice. So they're wonderful people. So I trained with them for a while. And they do a digital storytelling workshop that I've taken. So I'm one of their trainers. But I've been thinking more and more recently, and that's dedicated to a very specific project. How do you take a story that's important to you? So it's usually a personal story, and tell it in under 5 minutes. It's a challenge.
So it's a writing project.
Oh, it's a huge writing project. Yeah. Linda?
I was going to say, reminds me of the Pachakacha.
It kind of, except it doesn't have, all it has is a single time limit, right? It's not
Right,
structured
right,
beyond
not
that.
per slide. Okay.
They generally don't do talking heads, so which actually makes it more powerful because the people are finding images either they've taken or they found somewhere that illustrate what they're talking about.
Right, which is the way I do Pachakacha. I do it a little differently than the
Can you say
average
that word again? Pachakachak?
Pachakacha.
cha at the end.
Cha, what does that mean?
It means chit chat in Japanese, or the sound of conversation. It's a presentation form that where you have 20 slide pictures on a screen, and the pictures change every 20 seconds automatically, and people talk about their topics. Think of a PowerPoint, except that it changes every 20 seconds, and you only get, it's a total of 6 minutes and 40 seconds. But
So it's like a tweet show.
Some of us in storytelling have tried to do Pachakachas with a story, a true story instead. And I've done that a couple times in Bridgeport, New Haven, often New York. It's a challenge, and it actually got me tackling some stories that I just kept not working on because I said I'd do it, and then I had a date and I had to have it ready by it, you know how that works. And I like it. I mean, I listen to a lot of other people. Some are stories and some are just still boring presentations, but it moves quickly because every 20 seconds the slide changes. So it can be a story, but they only do personal stories unless you create your own event And don't call it Pachaka Job, because that there's an organization, it's international, they have their rules, they have,
all that
but
stuff.
I can see it as digital storytelling in a broader sense.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, they make you stand on the side, at least the ones I've been at. So the images are here and I'm over here. I'm still acting out my story some, but I'm stuck with a standing podium or standing mic, where I want to combine it. I want to be in front of it and tell my story with the image moving as every 20 seconds behind.
Well, that's
I haven't
interesting.
found a place that let me do that yet, but I'm working on it.
So,
Right.
so that's one form. I mean, that's like, okay, we're going to work with these constraints and improvise a great story. And it's a wonderful structure. These digital stories instead are more free form. So
Mhm.
sometimes people will have a little bit of live video in them, not usually very much, and illustrations is what I call them. So pictures or whatever. But they are indeed they're stories. What do you want to call them? They're rhetorical stories, right? They're stories to convince you or tell a story that's important, and they're tremendously powerful. Um, Now, in order to do that, though, you've got to, it's not just a slide. There's zoom, there's pan, you start to
Yes.
learn the video editing vernacular, and what does it take? How do I meld one picture into another without getting all Hollywoodish about it?
Yes.
Right. That's a problem because
Yeah.
we're not going to make Hollywood.
No.
And so making it not look corny, that's, I mean, on the same point, about the pictures, there was a conversation the other day that I had with several other storytellers, and it was about these backgrounds that
Mhm.
that I'm in a painting right now that's
Right.
from Abraham Newman. It's a shtetl in Poland. It's a painting of a shtetl, and I was telling a shtetl story. So I thought,
Yeah.
okay, I'll be in a painting. It's not. But if I had a mountain behind me, I'm not in the mountain. But I know that, Linda, you're in your house. And so there's something authentic about it. My husband's suggestion this morning, when I mentioned that I'm really having a good time with these backgrounds, but I really need to find a place in the house where I can actually show our house.
Yeah,
He said, why don't you just take a picture of a part of the house that you like
and put it
put
behind
that
you.
behind you?
So just because I had to go to this meeting earlier today, and I wasn't sure that I really wanted to be there, but I knew that I was expected to be there. So I made this video. And every now and then I tug at my beard, and so you could do that too. You could have a virtual presence.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
I
Um,
had a
yeah, go ahead.
question. Heather made me think of it. YouTube Live versus Facebook Live,
Okay.
because people are using both, and I haven't
So there's a
explored
good
Facebook.
difference. There's a good distinction between them.
All right, what is it?
Facebook Live it's the difference between Facebook and YouTube. You go to Facebook to get distracted. That's why people go to Facebook, right? I want to browse around. I want to see what pops up. I want to scroll through a bunch of stuff, see what looks interesting, and maybe I'll dwell on something for a minute at the most, and then I'll go on to the next thing. So Facebook Live is kind of like that. You will invite people and they will come, but you're also expecting that people will discover you. That's why part of the reason why you do it on Facebook Live is so that people can stumble on you and find you, and with a very, very low barrier to entry, all that you have to do is click your video to see you. You're in. YouTube is a different environment. You go to YouTube to watch a program generally. Sometimes you might go to look through various topics, but you're still hoping to find something you're going to watch for a while, right? So you can invite somebody to your YouTube Live, and not give the invitation to other people. So it can be a little more of an exclusive thing that you make available.
That's what is that what Donna was talking about? That
Yeah.
she said on the channel itself.
Well, in your channel, so you also have a YouTube channel, okay?
Right. That's
The
what she
channel
said.
is
She's
where all
making
your
them and
videos live.
she's
Right.
making them offline and then uploading them to her channel.
Yep.
And she said you have a choice of making it public,
Or private.
private, or
Um,
invitation.
There,
Yep.
you can make something public. You can make something unlisted, which means people could stumble on it. More likely, somebody might share it with somebody else. And if
Yep.
they have the link, they can watch it. There's no restriction on it. And then it's private, which means you have to say, these are the email addresses that can view this video.
Well, then what's the invitation part?
That's the invitation. So you would have the invitation says,
Yeah.
I've authorized you, Heather, and your email to view this.
And that's under private.
That's private, yeah.
But with the unlisted, because I've used YouTube and posted videos, not of storytelling, but other
Right.
things for school, is when I use the unlisted and I can put that link on a web page. The kids from my school, whoever I've made the web page for, can click on it and go there. But when you go out searching for it on
You won't
Google,
find it.
it doesn't come up.
Right.
So
So-
that's what you're charging for. Like,
Well,
and you
that's
can do
not-
it either way. And I'll
Yeah.
say the problem with private videos is that they have to have a Gmail account for it to work. Not everybody does. And the email that you authorize is the only one that can watch it. So if they sign into YouTube with a different different email account, they can't get in. So it becomes fraught with support issues. So
well, then
I
what's
would-
the link that you can give somebody?
well, either case, it's a link, but the unlisted link is not restricted. It's just if you have the link, you can watch it. The private link is tied to a specific email address or list of email addresses. And again, it's more secure, but it means you're probably going to end up supporting some people who you wanted to let see it and they can't get there. So it's a challenge. Yeah.
Now, what do you do with your classes? You put them on your YouTube channel?
So for me, I have some classes which are unlisted. So for example, I've got 8 students. I make the class unlisted, but nobody's going to find it, So I share, and I know they're not going to share it randomly with someone else. I trust my students.
This is a tech class or storytelling class?
No, storytelling class. It's a 2-year program, so it's kind of cool. But so I share that with my students because if one can't make it one class, they can come back and see the class. I have others that I do make public, and so like these, I know when I do the Zoom tutorials, I make them public.
Right.
So if you want,
When you're on YouTube,
yeah, let's do
I
it.
can control whether I allow comments or not.
That's
But on
absolutely true.
Facebook, can I
You
do
can't.
that too? I don't
No,
think so.
no.
Okay.
That's the hearts and the things going up.
Yeah,
So
all that stuff. You don't have any control over that on Facebook because, again, it's not the culture of that thing, right?
but on
Right.
YouTube,
You have a choice about whether you allow comments or not.
okay, but so I'm a little confused between YouTube Live and this other idea of having a YouTube channel.
Okay, so you're right. They're 2 different things, but their setup is very, very close to each other. Give me a second here.
So a channel to me on YouTube is because if I make more than one video, you can see all the Linda videos
Right.
on my channel. I can list, all of them together. So you could go to the Linda channel.
Right.
Where you find all the Linda stuff.
So here over here, I'm going to go to my channel, okay? So here's my channel. And if you were a first-time visitor, there'd be a welcoming video that I've made to welcome you. After that, this is what you see. And mine is very simple. You can have horizontal sections. Okay, so I've only got 2 right now because I'm not promoting myself a lot here. But up here are my stories. Okay, and down here are the things that I've uploaded that I want to make public. Now, if I
This, by
wanted
the way,
to,
was very nice.
I could do another section that's my Zoom tutorials, for example. That would probably be a good thing to do. But there we go. Now, if I look at wow. Let me just open this up so I can show you something. So in this video, oh, where do I edit it? Oh, I got to go. Hang on just a second.
Yeah, you got to go back to
YouTube Studio. So in my for my video, here's what I just did. And I can say for this, here's the title and the description. I get to pick the thumbnail I'm using. I can put some tags and all. But over here is whether it's visible, public, unlisted, or private. And I can put it into a playlist. I got lots of playlists, but I haven't put it in one yet. And somewhere, more options, is where I can, here I've held all comments for review. So people can make a comment, but it won't get posted until I looked at it. I can also say, allow everything, disable them, or a couple of different things in between. But I can even though I'm not letting people just blast it with comments, I am letting them give a thumbs up or thumbs down, and I let that be known. Okay.
the YouTube has a new regulation of some sort where you have to say whether it's suitable for children.
That's right. And that's on the main page. And let me tell you what that means. That's right here. So if you say it's made for kids, they put extra restrictions on what it is. You cannot put it onto a playlist. You can share it, but you can't make a playlist of things that include that. And I'm not exactly sure why that is. Oh, hold on. I wonder if Gail's trying to get in. Hey, Gail. Are you trying to get in? Okay, so I'm on a Zoom call. So is it quick or can I call you back? Okay. Okay.
I think I actually, it's too many years ago, but I think they actually have one of these channels.
Yeah, mine is pretty old too. It's sort of just
like 4
there.
stories on it. That's it. And I might have a couple of subscribers.
Sure, go ahead. I'm actually doing.
If I remembered where it is, where do you upload something new? Because I never really did anything with it.
Well, when you first log in, it's not on the page.
Okay, sorry about that.
Under the create, do you see the red shape up of the little?
Oh, up here. Yeah.
Yeah, she said, where do you upload something?
That's that plus sign. So if I go to plus, I can either upload a video, or here's where I go live.
Oh.
Okay.
But you have to request the live account, and it takes like 24 hours or something for them to activate it.
But you do it once, and I've even forgotten when I did it.
So I could just record the same way that we did on Zoom?
You could, and you could upload it, absolutely.
Or then you could upload it afterwards?
Yes. Yeah. So the process is you'll you'll either be your meeting and you'll get a recording of the meeting, which you can save and then edit and then upload, or you'll not be the owner of the meeting and you'll run Camtasia or some other screen capture that lets you record the series and do the same thing. It says there's an editor here, but the editor is really, really basic. About all you can do is trim the beginning or the end off. There's not much you can do. All right. So, and when I do editing, let me just take a second and show you that real briefly.
Do you do any editing in this channel, or you do it all on Camtasia?
I do all my editing before I upload it. It would there's not enough power in the editor. Basically lets you trim off the beginning or end or trim out a middle. That's it. So you really can't do anything.
Which is too bad, because they used to have a good editor. You used to be able to
yeah.
make a face fuzzy of the kids in the audience, so you could post it. You used to be able to take 2 videos and put it together in here, and they took that all out. Yeah.
Okay, this isn't it. Hold on just one more second.
Because YouTube is part of Google now.
Right.
YouTube is owned by Google. It's not a separate entity anymore.
Where can I go? Oh, so if I look, here we go. I know where I'll go. Just give me a second to remember which of my many folders I put it into. I have way too much stuff.
What's a playlist?
Playlist is a list of things that you'd like to sequence, that you want to see one after the other. Okay, so now,
backtracking a second for that the children, suitable for children.
Yeah.
I noticed that as far as searching for videos with my teacher's hat on instead of my storyteller's hat on, that blocks some of the videos, because they're not approved for kids if I'm searching for things. So it limits in a different way.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. All right. And of course, Camtasia just updated this week, so now I have to upgrade everything. But here's the Camtasia editor. And when I do an edit, what I do is at the very beginning, I put this little intro that says, here's what you're seeing, here's the date, and then then from there on out, I'm pretty much taking the rest of whatever the recording is. I did some fancy things on this one. And then at the very end, I take the end and do something similar. So I have a little outro here that brings that back up.
A saved outro and intro?
Yeah, so I save those and I just reuse them.
Hey, how does someone get to participate as a teller in the worldwide?
You just ask. So it's been Hope Lewis that you asked, but now you can ask me too.
Okay, I want to do that sometime.
Okay.
Oh, you should. I go on, and it's fun to listen to other people and try out new stories. And
yeah, I've been enjoying all of the ones I've been involved with, because it just makes me learn different things.
Sure. So the other thing I do is when I do my editing, back up a little bit here, I will have I'm recording Zoom so that I have the speaker view is one recording and the gallery view is another recording. So Zoom will record those two separately. so that when I have someone telling, I take the speaker view for that part of the meeting, and then I go back to the gallery view until it's the time for the next person to tell the story. And that way we get a nice,
Wait, where did you
see
tell?
down here at the bottom, this track are all the gallery view. So,
Right, where did you tell Zoom to separate that?
oh, in my Zoom settings. So I'll show you that.
Yeah, that was my question too.
Okay. And then once they're here, then I clip them when it switches from speaker to gallery. And then I just, that's my little way of reminding myself, well, this came from the speaker view and this came from the gallery view. Oops. And then this track right here, if you look up, see, I've got the WVSG watermark up here in the upper right-hand corner. That's what this track is. It's just that little.
So you have how many tracks? So you can add a music track. This is
Oh,
like,
you can have as many tracks as you want. So I have, I have here 6 tracks that I'm using. And it's just to keep track of what's going on, so to speak. It's easy.
do you like this better than WeVideo?
For what I'm doing, yes, because I'm doing a lot of education as well. So there are times where I really need to highlight. I can come in and say, I've got all these cursor effects. I can magnify what's under the cursor. I can spotlight, can dim what's not around the cursor. I can smooth the trail. I can make it highlight where the cursor is. Those are not things that are useful in storytelling, but they are useful in other settings.
I didn't find WeVideo totally intuitive.
No, actually, it's just cheaper. So I think if I had the money, which I do, I use Camtasia. I was given WeVideo for the work I do with Story Center. That's why I have both.
Right.
But let's go back to the question of how this gets set up. So in my Zoom account, and let me stop sharing just for a moment while I bring that up. My little bit of, I don't want to accidentally disclose all my
Ooh, your secrets.
my secrets. Go to settings. Okay, here we go. Where'd my shared screen go? There we go. So here I am in the settings.
Mm-hmm.
Under recording. Okay.
Oh, I've never even looked there.
Yeah. Here's the choices. So I could record the active speaker with the shared screen. So that would be like if I was doing this now, you'd have a thumbnail of me and the shared screen, which I'm sharing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I want to do and now, okay, so, let me admit, somebody's coming in. Let's give her a moment to arrive and then. Hey, Connie, you coming in?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
a different screen popped up for me. So
Okay. We're welcome, by
thank
the
you.
way. We're just talking a little bit about the different ways you can record a Zoom meeting. We've been all over the place, but so first and foremost, before we even look at the settings, if I'm just having a meeting, okay, nothing else is going on, there's no shared screen, then whatever I'm seeing is what it will be recorded. So if I have the gallery view, it records the gallery view. If I have the speaker view, it records the speaker view. And if that's all I was going to do, then I could just toggle between speaker and gallery view and the recording would capture that. Okay? When I'm doing these things, I'm trying to get the storyteller to be big. But I can't be sure that I'm never going to have a shared screen. You know, sometimes a shared screen comes into it and then it throws you into this land. So I always assume that I'm going to have a shared screen. So the first option lets me say, whenever there's a shared screen, do the speaker view. So it'll be a thumbnail of just whoever's speaking. The second option says, whenever I have a shared screen, record the gallery view. All right.
Where does it say this?
Right here. Whoop, sorry, right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you please put your cursor where you're talking about?
Yep, sorry.
Okay. So the record after speaker gallery view and shared.
And so what
separately. So that
I've
gives
done
you
is
3
say,
tracks.
I want all 3.
Got it.
Okay, I want the speaker view, the gallery view, and the shared screen. And these buttons down here, maybe I only want 2 of the 3. I would shut off the shared screen, but I want all 3.
I have a question
Sure.
about this before we, if you're the host,
Yeah.
is it you that's highlighting the one who's going to be this in speaker view?
Not necessarily. So great question. If I've set my view to gallery view, then yes. So there's always the speaker view. The speaker is always identified. Okay. If I'm in the speaker view, then whoever's speaking at that moment is big. If I'm in the gallery view, whoever's most recently speaking is highlighted, but they don't get big.
Right.
Okay.
As the host, you've introduced, like Sheila has introduced someone.
Right.
How did she make it so that someone?
There's also a feature now that's called Spotlight. And the Spotlight view basically forces everyone to use speaker view with the person you're spotlighting.
And that's a host button that
That's a host button. The host is the only one who can do that.
Right. Okay. And that's in webinar?
That's also in the meeting. So it's in both places. It started in the webinar. It's also now in the meeting. So let me run through the rest of these. I also can record an audio only file. Now I don't use that much anymore, but I was doing a lot of podcast work. And so I'd have the interview over Zoom, but I'd just be using the audio. So this would record a separate audio track for each person, which was really advantageous when you're doing a podcast. And this one lets me save the chat messages as well. Okay. Let me get through these because they're all of sort. You could add a timestamp to the recording. I shut that off because I find it intrusive. If I'm making a recording of me telling a story, I don't want a timestamp on there. Likewise, I take off display person's name. So even though in our meeting we see each other's names, in the recording they won't appear. For that same reason, that I don't want to
spotlight them.
If I spotlight them or if whatever, I just don't want the name to appear because it's a little more jarring. I do record the thumbnails, which is kind of redundant with this one, but again, it's going to record thumbnails. And then because I know I'm going to be editing it, I leave this one checked to optimize it for a third-party video editor because that's what I'm going to be doing. So it adds extra information to the file so that I can edit it more easily. And this only has to do with webinars. If there's a panelist chat, then that gets saved as well. So there's a whole lot of stuff right here. But that's very useful if you're going to be thinking of making recordings either dedicated, you're going to sit down in front of Zoom and make the recording, or you're going to pull recordings from a Zoom performance or meeting that you've had with others. You need to have addressed these. Now, I will say that with most webcams, and certainly it's true for you, Heather. I don't know what you've got, Linda, but I got to believe that this is also true. You don't need to use Zoom to do a recording. You can do
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You can use your own webcam software to do that. The challenge is that I found, because I have Logitech, so I have the same software as you. I don't have the same camera, but I have the same software, Heather, is that it'll let you do a green screen, which is kind of cool, but it's no longer available to you to edit. So I can't say just put up a green screen and then later replace it with something else. It's not transparent. It's green or it's whatever I've put back there. It's fixed. So I have found, even though the recording is a little better, I found for myself, I just use Zoom still.
When you're saying, you said, I didn't have anything relative to the Logitech until I went to the website and downloaded some apps, and there were a gazillion different things. I had a hard time figuring out what I might find useful. So
Yeah,
Capture was the one that seemed.
that's the one you want.
That was
Logitech
a
Capture,
wild
and there's
guess.
another one called Camera Controller.
Camera controller, okay.
Camera Settings. It's called Logitech Camera Settings. And Logitech does a lousy job of letting you know what you should get.
There was no way to know. I just
Yeah.
went eeny, meeny, miny, you.
Yeah.
So which ones did you say? Logitech camera
Um,
settings, and which was the other?
So if you've got Logitech webcam, so you want the Capture is one.
Capture, okay.
Yeah, and the other one is Settings.
You have to go to the Logitech.com website to downloads, Connie, to find those things, and then they just download. But if you're already, like right now, I wanted to just double check the setting about the, what were we talking about? Turning off the autofocus.
Mhm.
So while we were here, I went over to Capture, and it says that the Logitech is occupied.
That's right.
And you can't change the setting. Does that mean because it's being used in
Because it's being used by Zoom.
so you can't make a change while you're using it? You have to do it when you.
Yeah, although I can. So if I right now, I can use that to Zoom. All right, so I'm using that same thing.
Capture?
This is Logitech Settings.
Oh, settings. Okay.
Settings. And settings, I think, let me see if I can shut off autofocus. Yeah. So I can shut off autofocus and then now it won't make any last minute changes.
So settings is
Settings
another app that
is
goes
another,
with
it's Logitech camera settings, and those let you be live as you can do it while you're live.
One of the settings that was really useful, because I did get one of those screens, that frame, a photographer frame,
Yeah,
and so that I could do standing up.
yeah.
But it was the camera was taking the whole room. It wasn't working. But it was too much of the room that wasn't in the green screen was showing. But within Capture, it allowed me to change the percentage of
Yes.
the.
And also you get to
angle.
the point, and Connie, I'll ask you to ask your questions in a minute, but
Sure.
Once you start using a video editor, you can cut those out of your video. So just because you've recorded it doesn't mean you're stuck with it permanently. You can crop them. You can crop the video image just like you crop a picture.
Great.
So, yeah. So Connie, hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm not seeing myself for some reason.
If you look down in your lower left-hand corner, you should.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
There
there
it
you
is.
go.
There
Okay.
you are, my dear. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Good to see you again.
Thank you very much. Sorry to have missed earlier, but
That's
I'm glad to
okay.
be here now.
Yeah. Did you have questions today, Connie?
I've not really investigated or listened, read too much on Zoom. So you might have really covered this, but I'm just curious kind of about some of the breakout rooms. And I also, since we're talking about the screen, I'll ask that question first. I was pleased when y'all encouraged me to put that my little round screen up, and I
Yeah.
was pleased with how it looked that time. But the next day I did something, and it was back to when my head moved. It was that wavy stuff.
Huh.
And I'm wondering if it's the light because I have two big windows in here. Is that
Yeah.
what would maybe cause
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
It's
If
where
there's a-
there's a shadow.
Yeah.
There's a big difference in the background. So, like as I look at you right now, I guess it's to your right, towards the window.
Yes.
Your roller desk is very, very bright.
Yeah, I can see it back
Yeah.
there.
And
Yeah.
and so your computer would have a challenge to figure out the difference between your bright white hair and the bright white reflection off the roller table. So it would get
Well, my green screen would be between me and the
yeah,
road,
but it
but
would
the light's still hitting it.
light
Yeah.
might make it a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, so right now I'm using the green screen and I've told it I have a green screen. If I shut off, instead said I don't have a green screen, you would think that nothing should change, but you can see green between there. So it's kind of nice if you do have a green screen because
So you've got check marked with the green screen now.
I say I have a green screen.
And move your hands if you would.
Well, it's not quite the moving. It's still a little bit there, but the minute I turn it off and say I don't, then look, I get all sorts of green
Gotcha.
in between. It's trying to figure out what's going on. I've figured out that what it's doing is looking at distance. So it's saying what's in focus, what's not in focus. Because now I have a coffee mug, all right? And if I move it over here, it disappears.
Magic.
Magic. So yeah, I could try some magic tricks, but all right.
When I'm on Zoom with, well, like now,
Yeah.
can I record?
If
I'm
I
not the
give you
host.
permission, if the host has to give you permission, but
Okay.
yes.
Because sometimes when I'm with an informal local sharing group, there's a couple coming up, I would like to record my telling to watch back,
Sure.
but so I have to ask the host to give me
You have to
permission
ask
to
the
do
host,
that.
and it's not hard to do, but if it's one of these little informal groups, and
Yeah,
people
they
don't
may
know their
not.
way around, they'll get a little stuck on how to do that. It's very simple. It just you have to say allow recording. But
And is that along down the bottom in the video, or is
They'll
that
get a
up in the
prompt.
setting?
they have to go to participants. I'm sorry, they have to go to participants.
Okay.
Select you, and then and it says I'm doing this right now. I can't show you.
Yeah.
I've selected one of you, and I get a menu that pops up, and one of the items is allow record. So it's very simple, but you just have it's not immediately intuitive.
And
No,
then
they
they could
also-
go and take it off when I was done if they were worried I was
Right.
recording everybody. And okay, thank you. That's helpful.
They also have to give permission to turn on original sound, but as of this morning, Zoom changed so that in even telephone settings, that's an option for the host to allow musicians to turn on original sound. And at the end of the day, Jim, it is turn on original sound means don't use all the compression of Zoom.
Right.
You were right about that.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead,
So
Connie.
I have another thing if
Sure.
the others of you don't right now. So I'm still really kind of germinating on what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go ahead and I hope in the next couple of weeks and do just a small coaching thing. But if I wanted to, I would like to eventually, if I do more of this, I would like eventually to put together a package.
Mhm.
So obviously I'm going to need to get people's permission if I'm working with them. And would that probably be, so if I was, if they had told their story, when they're telling their story, I'm assuming it would be just the screen for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I walk through some steps, when I'm just working with them, I guess it would be a double screen. And then I would want to record that
You could
double
do
screen.
that. You could just record the whole session rather, and then either pin their video or make the speaker view, whatever, when they're telling, and be very straightforward. Let me ask you just a question, because you know a lot of us do various kinds of coaching. I was asked once to take some of the coursework I deliver and make it available, kind of like Donna is doing, which is pre-recorded bits. And my teaching and my coaching is so interactive, I said that's not something I can do. No, thank you. So what are you thinking? So that's a personal choice, absolute personal choice, personal style. What are you thinking that you would want to record?
Well, I think I've got a couple of long-term students that have said, you know, after a while of working, one person in particular that said he really wished that he had recorded every bit of it and then to see the transformation of the story.
Okay.
And that kind of thing. Of course, so it would need a lot of editing, and it would be, you know, that person's, you know, the permissions and all of that too. But there's just, you know, I can see it when I'm over, you know, 6 months working with someone
Yeah.
on one or two stories.
Okay, so if it's personal use, then a couple of things there. One is I do that. So yes, I would never show it to anyone else, but it's part of the way we work. I still, sharing that, it becomes a very large file. So we were talking before about the different kinds of YouTube files. That's one I would make private, and I would only share it with my student. So then they're the only ones who get it. If somehow the link goes out and gets into the wild, nobody else can watch it anyway. It's safe. And that's what you would do in this kind of a circumstance. And the main benefit, you have a little extra time cost, no money cost. You have a little extra time cost because you're going to take that recording and now you have to upload it to YouTube, which takes some period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the time consuming part. Then you get the link and you send the link to your student.
You're talking about uploading it to your own YouTube channel.
Yeah, to my own YouTube channel, but as a private one that I would then share with my student. Or if I've got a class, I share with the class. You know, again, depending upon
where does YouTube channel of your own tell you the link to get to this private video?
So your audio is doing it again. So did you just start doing something, Heather? Now
No.
we're in diagnostic mode here. But
No, my voice started to do what?
Make that garbled sound again. So my hunch is your computer is getting overtaxed with the length of this session, which has a lot of video going on, and it shouldn't be happening. So this is if your computer is still under warranty, I would be in touch with them and say, hey, I've got a problem here. After an hour, I get this.
It's thrashing.
It's thrashing. It seems to be thrashing.
Do you hear that? You're hearing this now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heather, let's see. I don't know if I don't have my phone right here. I was just thinking if Jim could record 30 seconds of it and then send that
you
to
know what it sounds like, Heather? Or
No, I don't know what it sounds
so
like.
hold on once. What do you know? Hang on.
That way you could share that with a tech person, Heather.
Yep. It just has to.
Could it be the smart?
Okay, talk. Go ahead and talk.
I'm talking now, and this is a test of thrashing, my computer being overtaxed and distorting my vocal words.
Okay. In fact, now that I've done that, I realized I've got it on the Zoom recording. I didn't need to do that, but I've got an extra copy anyway. YouTube. Let me go back to YouTube for a moment.
And I have to run.
Okay.
I'm going to say thank you at this.
Oh, and so before you run, you asked a wonderful question. Thank you very much. It had been in my mind, and today kind of sealed it. So I think there's sufficient interest in people who are going to try and do some simple editing of their own recordings. I'm probably, I'll have to think about which editor I use. Um, but I think that's a short course that people might appreciate.
I would appreciate it.
Yeah. And what I'll do when we're done is I'll send around a link of a sample of the little 5-minute videos that we make, give you a sense of some of the, not so much for the story. I like the story. It's my own, so I'm predisposed to it. But to see some of the editing techniques that get used in there. They're very simple but effective. Okay. Thanks, Linda.
Bye.
All right. So let me go now over to YouTube. So, Connie, this is where I go to when I go to YouTube, and I have a channel. All right. So here's my channel, and you can do a little bit of work. You can give it a header and that sort of thing. But if I've got a video that I want to upload, I do it over here. The little camera with the up plus in it, and I can then upload. This is also where I go live. Once I've uploaded a video, I get taken through. Let me see if I've got a short one. Here, let me do this. Hang on. I'll upload a video just to show you what happens. Get a real short one here. Here we go. There's one. So I've just selected a file. It's uploading, okay? And I have to give it a title. I have the option of giving it a description. I can either let it pick a thumbnail, or if I've got one I want to use, I can upload a thumbnail. So for example, I might say I want that one to be the thumbnail. Oh, too big. So never mind. I can add it to a playlist, and here are various playlists that I have. I have to say whether it's made for children or not, and I've set my account up so that it always says no. I can change it for any one particular video. And then if I'm promoting a product, I have to tell YouTube that. And here's where I'd put tags. So I might say Green Lakes, which is where this thing was taken, or walk in the woods, or whatever tags I want to put there. And I can give it other information. If I'm using subtitles, I can put that in. If I want to record where and when it was recorded. Is there anything in here that I've used of somebody else's material that I have to declare? This one says, embedding says, do I want to let somebody input it on their website directly without having to go to YouTube? And if I've got people on my feed, this says, let them know I've uploaded it. I have to give it a category. There aren't many good categories. I think we'd either be in entertainment or education. I usually leave it at education. And then I make some choices about whether I'm going to let people comment, and if so, when those comments become visible. So I allow people to comment, but I have to approve each one. I've had some problems with people commenting.
Do they email those to you?
You get a notice, yeah, that there's a comment waiting to be resolved. And this one lets me know how many viewers like it and dislike it. So that's the first element. And now I'm going to pick one of these as the thumbnail for it. The video elements are only if you're selling something, and in a way that you would never do, So I always skip this screen. And then the visibility, this is the other key one, is do I want it to be public, which means anybody can find it. If they search for it, for those tags I gave it, they'll find it as that. I can make it unlisted, which means I get a link that I can share, but nobody can search for it. So if they've got the link, they can see it, but they can't discover it. And private means only the people I say will be able to use that link. It's all the same link, but this tells what happens to that link. And here's that link over here. So let's say, for example, I want to make it private. Okay, so now I'm going to end up having to tell it who I want to be able to see this. And if I want to delay making it public, I can do that here. So I'll save this. And let me go
Where
back
did you
to
tell
that.
it who could see it?
So I haven't told it yet. So now I'm going to do that. So there's the one. There it is, right? Top of the list. I think it's here. I so rarely do the oh, here it is, private. And share privately is what I would have to click on. And now I'll get a list of who I can share that with. And if you're in my contact list, it'll populate that for me. And this would send you a notice, Heather, that you've been invited to see this thing. I could shut that notice off.
Right, so this is what we were talking about pre-concert.
Right.
When people are making a collection of stories or videos there
Right.
as a I guess a playlist.
They make it as a playlist. So then, so you're going to get an email, Heather, just so you see what it looks like.
So the composition as a playlist that
No, well, right now you're just going to get an invitation to look at this one video.
Okay.
Now, let me go back to my channel. I've got playlists also. And here are some playlists of mine. What I want at the top of my page, I call it featured. My office hours here. Work I do for Reiki, stuff for ASST. Now notice these little icons. This means they're public. This means it's unlisted. If you've got the link, you can watch it. I don't have any that are private because, again, I found them too problematic.
So could you store a whole bunch of like over time, like watching a
Yes.
flower bloom?
So like right here,
a student.
let's look at this one. So here there's 9 videos in this playlist, and I can add or rearrange them or do anything I want with that list. And if you've got the link to it, it's public. But if it was unlisted and you had the link, you would, the next time you came back, you'd see I've added a video or I've rearranged it. Think of it as a playlist. If you listen to music, same idea.
So you could have little clips of the same student over time.
Sure, absolutely could. So I could have a playlist for, Jane Doe. And I could make it, I could change it to private, just like before. So that's what I would do. I would say, okay, Jane, all the work we do is going to go on this playlist. It's you and I are the only ones who can look at it, but you'll have access to it. Now, what they won't be able to do, what no one can do, whether it's public or private or whatever, they can't download these videos. You're the only one. It's your video. I can download it back, but no one else can. That's part of the benefit of what YouTube brings.
So I don't know who did this because I have like 78 individual songs and stories that appear on my recordings that I gave, for digital distribution to CD Baby.
Hmm.
They sent it out over the universe to all the different. Okay, you can go to YouTube and just Google my name, and all 78 of them are now in a playlist,
Hmm.
which anybody can listen to all of my stories completely.
Right.
And they keep shifting around as to the most popular one.
Yep.
But they can't download them.
They can't download them. Right.
They can't. But they can listen.
That's right.
So somebody, I don't know how I didn't do this.
Probably CD Baby did, is what I'm guessing. It could be anyone who does that. Anybody who cares to take the time can make a playlist of videos that are public. Okay.
Right.
Now, if let's say as an artist you don't want that to happen, you can file a copyright claim. Say this is mine, you can't show it. And YouTube tends to take the view of the artist. So
I like the idea that anybody can listen to my story.
no, and I'm not saying you should. I'm
I'm
saying
gonna leave
these are
that.
your options. Yeah.
I'll leave that there. I was just very delighted that it existed, and then I thought, well, then what's the point of selling anything? But you can't download it and make your own playlist in your own local area.
Yep.
But I see now how it happened.
Yep.
Yeah, this answers the mystery.
Okay.
So Jim, I have a question for you
Sure.
too. Just in thinking about whether I'm going to pursue this or not, I had thought that maybe the first couple of things, if I do pursue it, the first couple of things that I did, that it might be helpful to have a tech person, that I've had a couple of Zoom things that I've done that other people have put together, that they've had anyone who's not familiar with Zoom
Mhm.
come the day before, or given a couple of options of times to come and see and just be said, okay, here's your mic, it's going to be muted,
Mhm.
here's how you, all that, just some of the stuff that you've been teaching us, but
Mhm.
very rudimentary, just really for how to get in.
Yeah.
And then because I understand about iPads look different, so you can't say all
Yeah.
the time upper. So it's like, I'm not sure I want to try to learn all this. And I don't mind learning it as I go, but to do it before I do, I think that's why it's felt a little overwhelming for me, especially about, breakout rooms. That's one thing I do want to practice, but is that something that you would maybe be interested in doing, is
Sure.
being my techie
Your
on?
tech guy. Sure.
Yeah.
We can talk
Okay.
about that. Sure.
Well, I can talk with you more about that
Yeah.
another time, and maybe I would definitely be in touch with you before I schedule or anything like that to
Sure.
make sure
And,
that time.
and it can be, now we start talking about filmmaking terms, but they apply. It can be all post-production, so you can say, I want to do this. Here's what I'm going to set up. We can talk about how you get set up for that to happen. You make the recording. You don't worry about doing things on the fly for the sake of the recording. You just do your performance or whatever it is you're going to do. And then after it's over, I get the recording and I can take care of those things for you.
You can edit.
We can talk about it, but it doesn't have to be done in the moment, I guess.
So it's more though when I have people. So if it's more the workshop.
Yeah.
So if that person can't, if they're there for the workshop.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So this
that's
is
another thing.
stuff that would be done beforehand with them to guide them through it. Say if I had 8 people that had signed up for that workshop.
Yeah.
And these are closed things that,
Right.
And then it would be being on at least for the first 15 minutes.
Sure.
While
And
everyone.
That's another so that's live support, and that is
Yes.
something I do.
So
for
live
folks.
support.
Yeah. Sure.
Is my microphone still doing that
It
thing?
is.
Yeah.
It is.
So that's why if I go out of the meeting and come back in, it works.
Your computer takes a breath.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
And we
interesting.
know, by the way, you've changed your webcam, right? From the first time we saw this. So we know it's not the microphone in the webcam, it's not the connection of the microphone, it's your poor little computer.
Yeah, okay, so, because this problem happened in the Healing Story meeting.
Yeah.
I left it and came back. It happened just before the concert today.
Yeah.
And I left and came back.
So another strategy on top of this, don't be recording or anything else, but just before you start, leave the meeting and come back in.
But that
I mean, it's nerve-wracking.
probably, having a newer computer would solve this also.
Yes, and having a newer computer would definitely solve it.
Which is on the horizon. It was just a matter of, I thought this one was fine, but it has to do many more things. As I mentioned,
Yes. Yeah.
it's the business, it's a household business computer too. So I might want to get a new.
And Heather, are you gonna, have you gotten any lighting or are you going to? That's another thing I'm still.
I
playing with.
I bought, well, this new Brio Logitech camera has some nice lighting adjustments. I got a little light that clips to a table that is like it came together with an arm that you could put your camera on.
Mhm.
It's this. Can you see this?
Mhm.
Yeah,
So-
uh-huh.
And it has all kinds of things that it does to make different light. It has like 10 different settings. It keeps, so you can be more or less orange. I mean, the issue was to try to find something that didn't make me orange.
Oh, that's nice.
That's a blue one. 10 choices were too many for my brain.
Yeah.
But it's just a lot of experimenting. But this was very inexpensive. I got it on Amazon. And it's called Ustream Junior.
Can you hold it up again? And it's called Ustream Junior.
Ustream Junior.
And great. And the backdrop that you have now, so do you have a full screen like Jim has?
I don't actually. What I'm sitting in a corner, and I have a plastic tablecloth taped.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that before. And the one more question for you, Heather. The picture that you're using is lovely. It makes a great backdrop. So is that something you found online that is copyright free, or did you
It
buy
was
that? Or-
copyright free. For today's Sacred Tales, I had chosen 2 shtetl stories, 2 Jewish tales from a particular time. And this is a painting done by Abraham Newman that I found.
Oh, and now she just, oh,
What happened, Jim?
froze.
oh, we all froze there for a bit. It happens.
So I found that I found the picture online just doing, if you do a search on anything, rose, pony, and up at the top where it says images,
Yeah.
just click on images, and there were like all these gazillion pictures. So I saw this one that was a painting, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll be in a painting. And then I thought, wouldn't that be fun, to tell a Greek myth and have, some kind of Greek urn, or just to thematically play with
It's
it.
a great idea, I think. I really like it.
We were talking about this. Sometimes it feels too fake because I'm definitely not in front of a mountain. Here, there's a nice rainbow.
Sure.
This is kind of pretty, but I'm definitely not here.
Yeah.
And so-
One of the first times I came on with Jim, he had a green shot of his
Here,
woods nearby.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love that, but in general, I don't like the outdoor things because I know you're not outdoors. You know, that's just the way different people, I'm sure, you know, kind of intuitively or instinctively maybe react in different ways.
Hmm.
But for me, I found that I don't like the outdoor stuff, except for that one of Jim's. That was
Well,
really nice.
and I think the real issue there is finding the balance between the thematic connection to whatever it is you're talking about
Yeah,
and not being so distracting.
right.
And that's all.
When it's too much to look at, yep, it's too interesting.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just doing
So
a piece about planetary ecology,
sure.
and I have a setting. If I put this in the right place, I'm actually in a halo,
That's right.
the earth around my head, and it's a theater piece I'm working on, where I am a kind of a cosmic clown. The audience are the spirits of the yet unborn, and it's my job to invite them to come and consider being born on that lovely little blue and white planet. And so it takes place among the stars. And so
Sure.
this, you know, and that kind of works, even though it's totally weird. But once again, what you said, Connie, having a thematic connection to the work makes sense.
So and for just to be clear, when you search for images on Google, one of the things you can tell it is I want to only see results that are copyright free.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
that makes that easier. I also, because of the work I do, I have the teacher's discount for Adobe stock. So these are all Adobe stock. So once again, I know they're copyright free. And especially if I'm going to be presenting myself, I mean, I would do it anyways, but even more so that I'm presenting, you know, my own material. I don't want to be taking anyone else's in the process of doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or paying for it if it's something that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Now, where did that come from? You're in front of a patchwork quilt.
Yeah, so I just did that as a background.
That's the background. I mean, this is the Andromeda strain. I mean, it's got a copyright on
And you
that.
know, the problem, Heather, and we're going to have to end soon. Most pictures that one gets off the web are designed to have the most important part of that picture be dead center, which is where our heads are. And so that's another challenge when picking out these backgrounds, is to say, how do I find something where my head is not obliterating the point of the picture?
Yeah.
There's part of it, and not to have it be hokey either. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that's. I mean, this. I don't know when I would want to be in my farm work shirt and the Andromeda strain.
That's right.
So,
Well, I've used this one when I'm telling dark stories.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's it. Heather, this is my wedding quilt.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, so it's hanging in the living room. So I just took a picture of it.
Well, that's what Larry suggested. How about just take a picture of something in our house?
Sure.
Here's my spooky story back.
There you go. Yeah. All right.
Okay, that was fun.
Thank you very much. Let's see. So, two things. I'm going to put together a digital editing course. I think that's going to be. I've had enough. Have you ever thought about questions coming to me? So I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Just decide which one you want to use.
Well, and honestly, I've found when I teach the course, I have an educator's version of WeVideo. That means I can give people a temporary free account to it. So that's the way I usually do it. And because all the skills are the same, the tool runs a little differently, but you're doing the same things in both tools. So that would be my inclination, because it runs on Macs, it runs on PCs. There's not a big investment to buy.
Camtasia. Okay.
Camtasia is the other one.
Camtasia.
I think it's a better editor.
I
frankly.
I personally.
Guys, I'm going to say goodbye.
Okay,
Nice seeing you both.
we'll be in touch. Okay.
Yeah, have a nice evening.
Okay, we can talk about it. I think that Composia,
Camtasia.
Camtasia looks like a much better tool. The other one,
Yeah.
I'm going to look into it. I had the other one, I paid for a year of it, and
Oh, you did?
I spent, a week fiddling with it and just left it because it was
Oh,
no.
dear. Yeah. And Camtasia is made by TechSmith.
I might be able to get it from TechSoup because I run a not-for-profit.
Yeah, it's worth trying. And I think it's a better product. It's what I use. In my teaching, I teach college students, I teach senior citizens, and I have to say, here's a license for a month. Go off and use it, and if you like it, we can talk about what you might want to buy. But it's a different audience. It's a different audience.
All right, well, I won't trouble your ear. Actually, the picture that I see, my skin tone looks very natural.
It does, yeah.
All right, so I don't want to burden you.
Yeah, I do have to go. I have to get some dinner.
I'm gonna go cook too. Okay, well, thank
All
you
right.
very much.
All right,
Bye-bye.
we'll be in touch. Bye-bye.